Greetings, friends. Adam Paoli here, founder and lead wealth planner at Coltiva Wealth Planning Partners. Glad you can join me today. We're going to continue our educational series on another piece of important legislation that occurred in 2020, known as the CARES Act. Many of you have heard about the CARES Act specifically because of PPP loans and the very popular direct stimulus payments. However, retirees and retirement savers may have missed out on a couple important notes. Two different pieces that were designed to enhance the durability of their retirement income savings, as well as to provide provisions for emergencies for those that were hit the hardest by COVID-19. So today we're going to jump into just two of those aspects. So let's get to it. So the first change that we saw that came out of the CARES Act was a change to the required minimum distribution. For review, an RMD, or a required minimum distribution, is the amount that must be taken out of an IRA once you hit a certain age. In our last video, we talked about the Secure Act, which changed the total age by which an RMD must be taken. And the Secure Act also had a change. There was a provision as part of the CARE Act that allows individuals to defer their required minimum distribution for 2020, regardless of whether or not they've had any direct impact from COVID-19. This is because required distributions are set for the year of 2020 based on values at year end of 2019. And the goal was to try to help folks that otherwise would have been making withdrawals when market values were down based on amounts that were much higher at the end of last year. This provision is specifically very good for any individuals who are going to experience a very high income year in 2020. There may be some tax savings that are available. For many of our clients who are receiving required distributions, they may have set up an automated basis and they might have made withdrawals already against their required distribution. One important piece of this legislation is there is the ability to return those distributions through a direct rollover. There are very specific provisions around timeline, and some of those timelines were recently extended. So we recommend that you reach out to your CPA partner or to your friends at Coltiva Wealth to help discuss those timelines and that eligibility for you. Many of our clients are still asking the question, I've seen this legislation, should I still be taking an RMD in 2020? And the answer is yes, under a certain set of circumstances. Number one, if you plan to experience a much lower income year in 2020, it may be a good opportunity to continue to make that withdrawal and pay a lower tax rate on those distributions. For many of our clients, required distributions are an important portion of their income in retirement. And if you need that to fulfill your basic needs, you should probably continue to take those. And last, many of our clients have seen their account values rebound from the lows at the end of March. And if their account values haven't been too impacted, they're going to still continue to take the RMDs now that those values have recovered. Not only were RMDs impacted through the CARES Act, but we've also been introduced to a new type of distribution called the COVID-19 related distribution. For those that have been very specifically impacted by COVID-19, this distribution allows for qualified individuals to make withdrawals from eligible plans under a very specific set of circumstances. One of the main benefits is that those who normally make withdrawals from an IRA before the age of 59.5 could face a 10% penalty. This waives that 10% penalty for those, again, that are qualified individuals that fit very specific retirement requirements. They've also increased the limits by which you can do that you have the ability to do up to $100,000 either from an IRA or a 401k, and that is an aggregate amount. But I want to be very clear that this is very specific. This isn't a withdrawal that applies to anybody. There are very specific qualified individuals. And to get that listing of what those qualified individuals, what is required to be a part of that group, you can find that information on the IRS's website, or you can reach out to your friends at Coltiva Wealth, and we'd be glad to provide that for you. In addition, before the CARES Act, if you made a withdrawal from your 401k, there would have been a mandatory 20% tax withholding. And that has been waived as part of a provision of the CARES Act. I have to be very clear. This does not mean that you don't owe those taxes still. Those taxes will absolutely be due, but they will not be pulled directly out of your withdrawal. One very kind provision that came out of the CARES Act is they do allow you to pay that back and spread that tax impact over 3 years, but that tax will still be due. So even though this can be a lifeline to somebody who has had a very significant financial impact because of COVID-19, we're advising all of our clients to tread cautiously and really use this as a last resort. There are other opportunities for you to take advantage of things like 401k loans, which have been expanded through the CARES Act to increase the potential dollar amounts. However, keep in mind that's not for every plan. 401k plans, some don't allow loans at all, and some plans have not adopted the CARES provisions to allow you to have access to these COVID-19 related distributions. So you should certainly check with your financial advisor and even with your plan sponsor to make sure that those are available for you. And most important, if you are considering any of these types of withdrawals, we certainly recommend that you explore that with your team at Coltiva Wealth, who can help you understand what all your options are and help you make the best decision. Well, as always, there's a lot more that goes into that legislation than we can fit into a 5-minute video, specifically as it's 880 pages long. So we encourage you to reach out to our team to discuss this more, and we would be glad to coordinate with your tax preparers, as a lot of this information will certainly impact your tax bill for 2020 and beyond. If you want to visit us, you can certainly check us out online at cultivawealth.com, see us on LinkedIn or Facebook, and we'd be glad for you to pick up the call and give us an old-fashioned phone call. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to reach out. We appreciate your feedback. And if there's any topics you'd like us to learn more about, we'd be glad to take that feedback and create that for a future session. Thanks again for your time. Don't hesitate to share this with your friends, and don't hesitate to let us know how we can be a sounding board for you. Have a great day.